everyone, and welcome back to Channel Singularity. Today we're diving into a fascinating topic that's out of this world, literally. Imagine this. We're watching an astronaut on Mars, sitting in a little habitat, munching on a potato. It's a cool scene, right? Potatoes are great. They've got carbs, some vitamins, and they're pretty easy to grow in controlled environments. But here's the thing. Our astronaut can't live on potatoes alone. Humans need protein to keep those muscles strong, especially in low-gravity places like Mars or the Moon, where staying healthy is a big deal. So what do? We can't exactly raise chickens up there. Too much space, too much mess, and way too many resources. So what we grow and eat on a Mars or Moon base? Let's explore the options, and I'll tell you why I think the best bet might just be insects, specifically mealworms. Stick with me because this is going to get interesting. First off, let's think about the challenges of growing food in space. Mars has harsh conditions, thin atmosphere, cold temperatures, and soil that's not exactly bursting with nutrients. The Moon's even tougher. No atmosphere, no liquid water, and a surface that's basically dusty rock. Any food production has to happen indoors, in controlled habitats with artificial light, water, and air. That means we need something efficient. Plants or animals that don't need a ton of space, water, or energy, but still pack a nutritional punch. Plants like lettuce, spinach, or even those trusty potatoes can grow hydroponically, and they're part of the plan for space missions. But they're low in protein, so we need something more substantial, something that can thrive in tight quarters and give us that protein boost. That's where insects come in. Now, why insects? Well, insects are nature's little powerhouses. They're already being studied for space travel because they're small, reproduce quickly, and need way less water and food than traditional livestock like cows or chickens. Plus, they're packed with protein, healthy fats, and micronutrients. Among all the edible insects out there, crickets, grasshoppers, beetles, the mealworm stands out as a top contender. So what is a mealworm? A mealworm is actually the larval stage of a darkling beetle, a little critter called Tenebrio molitor. They're tiny, wriggly, yellowish-brown worms, about an inch long, and they're already raised on Earth for animal feed and even human consumption in some places. In a Mars or Moon base, mealworms could be the perfect protein source. And here's why. Let's talk advantages. First, mealworms are incredibly efficient. They can be raised in stacked trays, so they take up hardly any space. Crucial when you're in a cramped habitat. They eat almost anything, leftover plant scraps, grains, even food waste from the astronauts, so they're basically recycling machines. They need very little water compared to plants or animals, which is a huge deal when water's a precious resource in space. Nutritionally, they're a goldmine. About 50% protein by dry weight, plus fats, fiber, and minerals like iron and zinc. They grow fast too. A full life cycle takes just a couple of months, so you've got a steady supply of fresh food. And here's a bonus. Their waste can be used as fertilizer for plants, closing the loop in a sustainable food system. For a Mars or Moon base, where every resource counts, mealworms check all the boxes. Okay, but what about the taste? I know what you're thinking, eating worms sounds kind of gross, right? Fair enough. On their own, mealworms have a mild, nutty flavor. Some people say they taste like almonds or hazelnuts with a slightly earthy vibe. They're not super strong tasting, which is actually a plus because you can season them however you like. Dry roast them with some salt and spices, grind them into a powder for protein shakes, or mix them into bread or patties. Astronauts could get creative. Maybe a Martian mealworm taco night. The texture's a bit crunchy when roasted or soft if they're fresh, but honestly, it's not that different from eating shrimp or other small critters. It's all about how you prepare them. After a while, they'd probably just feel like a normal part of the menu. Of course, there are some challenges. Raising mealworms isn't, but it's not as simple as tossing some seeds in a pot. You've got to control temperature and humidity. Mealworms like it warm, around 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, and slightly moist. In a space habitat, that's doable with the right equipment, but it's one more system to maintain. Then there's the psychological hurdle. Not everyone's thrilled about eating bugs, even if they're nutritious. Astronauts would need training or time to get used to the idea, though hunger might speed that up. Processing them could be tricky too. Grinding or cooking them in a small habitat might take extra energy and gear. And while they're low risk compared to chickens or fish, you'd still need to keep their little farm clean to avoid contamination. Nothing insurmountable, but it's not a zero-effort solution. So let's picture it. Our astronaut's done with the potato and pulls out a snack bar made from mealworm protein, grown right there in the Mars base. It's sustainable, it's packed with nutrients, and it's keeping them strong for the next mission. Compared to other options, plants alone or trying to ship freeze-dried meat from Earth, mealworms are a game changer. They're not the only answer, but they're one of the best we've got for long-term living on Mars or the Moon. Scientists are already testing this stuff. NASA and the European Space Agency have been looking at insects for years, so it's not just sci-fi anymore. Alright folks, that's our deep dive into eating in space. Potatoes, mealworms, and all. What do you think? Would you try a mealworm burger on Mars? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks for joining me on Channel Singularity, where we explore the wild future of science and space. See you next time.